you keep swinging the axe and keep chopping wood, if you will, and eventually the tree will fall and you'll be back, day after day after day, and stick to the process and keep practicing and keep grinding, and eventually, if you keep swinging the axe, the tree's going to fall.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Stephen Holder here with Zach Keefer, and you know what time it is. It's time for chopping wood. And man, has some wood been chopped?
Has wood been chopped?
Well, I didn't say by whom.
I feel like they stopped swinging the axe.
I mean, who are they? Where are our wood choppers right now? So anyhow, this is our weekly podcast where we talk about your Indianapolis Colts, the wood choppers and the horseshoe guys that they are. And your horseshoe guys let you down this week, 46-9. That doesn't even sound real. Out there in L.A., we flew 3,000 miles, maybe only 2,500, to go watch a 46-9 massacre. So let's let the people in on it. Now, I would say the trip was worth it for me. I had a good time in California.
L.A. was beautiful.
Exactly.
The Coliseum was a dump. I don't care what anyone says, and I get the historic nature of it, but it was a dump. It smelled bad, felt bad. It took us forever to get to our seats. And the game, wow, I'm honestly still stunned that I have to write 46-9 into Microsoft Word. Like, that really happened. Like, it's not like they went to Pittsburgh or New England or like Denver or they went to L.A. and played a team that the people there, you could just tell they were like, Rams are playing,
But
46-9, the most points the Colts have ever allowed in a season opener. Their second worst season opening loss. The most points the Rams have scored in 3 years. I can go on.
Here I was thinking, I was teeing this up for you to talk about, like, going hiking in the mountains or,
Yes.
Going to Malibu like I did and hanging out for a little bit.
Saturday was great.
It's what I do. I'm a big Malibu guy. I am. So no, I'm not at all. But Santa Monica, Malibu, PCH, beautiful. When I win the Powerball, I'm moving to Pacific Coast Highway. You'll never see me again.
You will be chopping zero wood.
Zero wood. Hell no. But anyhow, I guess we do have to talk a little football, and I just it was stunning. I think it was one of those games where I know how this sounds, but the score is probably worse. But because what happened is the game just gets away from you, and then it doesn't even matter what the score is.
Right.
It just they lost control of the game, and it unravels on you. So are the Rams 46-9 better? What is that? I can't even add. Are they 37 points better than the Colts? Probably not. I mean, right? In the NFL, no one's really 37 points better than anybody. But when you don't play well, that's what happens. You get embarrassed and you get absolutely humiliated, and that is no way to go out. So, but when you don't have your best player, it puts you in a tough spot.
Your third best player and your fourth best player, and you don't come to play, and you hand interceptions out like they're Halloween candy, like Scott Tolzien did, and you can't establish the run game, and you make Jared Goff look like he's Joe Montana. Yeah, that's just about as bad as they could have gone.
Yeah.
Will it be better this weekend?
Better, yes, I think. I hope.
You do that at home, you're going to get booed off the field, as you should.
Right.
And there's going to be some serious questions to answer on Monday morning.
So already people are tweeting me about how they're finding tickets on the secondary market like StubHub and what have you for like pocket change, like glove compartment change. You know what I'm saying? And so I can't verify this, but I think someone told me they got a ticket for $12 to the season opener. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's ridiculous.
If you're a Colts fan, what is pushing you to go to Sunday's game?
Buy low.
and I get it if you're a season ticket holder, and good for you, but
right.
You pay $20 to park, and you spend 4 hours getting down there and going to the game, and
yeah,
and it's either Tolzien or Morris, or excuse me, not Morris, Brissett.
Yeah, people are frustrated.
I long for the days of Morris, but anyway,
people are frustrated. I mean, you get it all the time. I'm sure you hear from friends and what have you. I mean, guys at the gym stop me and like, man, you know how many beers it took me to get through that game? I'm getting a lot of that right now. So anyhow, let's dive into this a little bit with some substance here. Let's take a little detour here real quick. We've spent part of our morning today on Wednesday dealing with a quote-unquote report, I guess, if you want to call it that, or a rumor, what have you. And this one coming from the esteemed news-breaking force that is Mike and Mike on ESPN. And look, I'm not sort of dumping on ESPN here. Look, I mean, that is entertainment. Mike and Mike is a radio program that is for entertainment. I listen to it from time to time. It's a very good show, I think, but understand what it is, right? So Mike Greenberg this morning goes off on a tangent about how Andrew Luck, he's hearing things about Andrew Luck. He's losing his zeal to play for the Colts. He doesn't want to play here. Maybe may try to force his way out. Something like that. And of course,
everything blew up.
Yeah. So of course, the internet goes crazy, social media goes crazy, and our bosses start making phone calls to us. So I talked to Andrew's agent, who's also his uncle. So I think that's a pretty good source. And he, of course, denies this forcefully on the record, which, he never likes to be quoted or anything. And now he's actually doing this on the record and is fine with you putting his name on it. So that, tells me something. And, but yeah, let's just talk about this just conceptually, right? Andrew Luck's got a $140 million contract. He's under contract forever. They would have a tremendous amount of dead money on their salary cap for one thing if they were to trade him. But this is ridiculous, right?
Okay, I have 3 words to say. 4 words, I think. Over Jim Irsay's dead body.
Yes.
I don't know how many words that was, but literally.
They're accurate words, though.
Jim Irsay will never even entertain the notion of trading for Andrew Luck. Like conceptually, and even in the most obscene situation, he can't play this year or whatever. It's not happening. It's never going to happen. It's never even been considered. And a couple things I want to hit on. One, what Andrew Luck has said in the past about this injury in no way makes me believe the Colts mishandled this. And he has come out and said this rather forcefully from him end. This is not us pushing him. This is him, preemptively saying, look, I really appreciate the Colts and the way they handled this, and I felt like I was in great care, and they wanted to take the best care they possibly could of me. He said this on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
1, about the kidney, and he brought it up on his own. And 2, about this shoulder issue and how it lingered from 2015. Look, there was a collaborative decision to not have the surgery last offseason. We've written about this in detail. But this year, the decision was his. And he said nothing but good things about the way the Colts have handled it. And I have no reason to believe they haven't handled it well, considering he's still not playing right now.
Right.
And Jim Irsay understands the value of that right arm. And if he's, if they're going to lose, 12 games this year, then so be it. It's about Andrew Luck's long-term future. That includes Andrew Luck being here, by the way.
Right. And now they may not have communicated things well, but to suggest that they've handled it improperly, first of all, they would have to be the biggest idiots in the world, okay?
Right.
To mishandle the greatest thing they've got going, okay?
Right. Right now, the
only thing they got going. Exactly.
Jack Doyle.
There's always Jack Doyle. So give me a break.
Yeah. And another thing is, Greenberg said that people are talking about this, and we are here every day. We talk to people about the team inside the building and out, and I've never once heard this, ever. Not one time.
One thing I've learned about this Luck situation is that the people keep saying, and I shouldn't say people keep saying, now I sound like Mike Greenberg, but we have heard people say, report, suggest a lot of different things, right? And what I've learned is it's probably not true, and for this reason, because no one knows. No one's talking about this. No one is talking about it. Let me say that again. No one is talking about it, right? So I feel like I don't want to say I have more information than everyone else, because I don't know that that's true, but I feel like I have some measure of reliable information, right, from people in the building who are in position to know, and that's a very few number of people, so you can speculate on my sources if you want. But my point is, based on those conversations, I feel like I've gotten some measure of truth about this, which is it's still sort of rehab right now for him, and until he gets to the point where they want him to be, he won't practice. So I mean, that's the deal. It's really not as mysterious as I think people want to think it is. So I know that's not the answer everyone wants to hear, because they want to hear, why are we being lied to? Well, I don't know that they're lying per se. And not because I'm trying to defend the Colts. I just don't. I think it is what it is. Now, I do think they're surprised that we're still here.
Yeah,
that I do think.
But it's not an easy answer because if you don't know the answer, it's all about how his arm responds to certain levels of stress.
Yes.
And while they're building that up at this particular moment, they don't know the answer to that question, how his arm is going to respond as they increase the intensity. So it's impossible to answer that question at this point. So I think I understand them on that stance. If you would have told them in July, Andrew Luck's not going to play in week 1, week 2, probably not week 3, maybe week 4, but probably not. Do you do something else with the quarterback position? I think they do. I think they make a move back then.
I would hope they would have handled it differently. So that brings us full circle to the game and the fact that their quarterback situation is a disaster, right? I mean, Scott Tolzien is in shambles right now.
Did anything surprise you?
No.
This is what we've seen for 6 weeks. This is what Chris Ballard has seen for 6 weeks. And they can say whatever they want about Stephen Morris being bad in OTAs. That's a BS excuse, in my opinion. He was better in the games than Scott Tolzien. Scott Tolzien did nothing in the preseason games to make you think Sunday against the LA Rams was going to be any different.
And at minimum with Stephen Morris, and I realize the Stephen Morris book has been closed. That chapter's over, but I think it's important to revisit this. The one thing about Stephen Morris that I found interesting is not so much that they didn't give him the job as the number one backup to Luck. It's more a matter of they didn't really give him an opportunity. That was my issue. It's like if you ultimately put them side by side, give them the same opportunities, and it's somewhat questionable who went on the job, then I can't really take issue with it. But when you don't really give him a chance to start any preseason games, you give him like no snaps in training camp, well, you're not dealing with the full set of facts, right? You don't have a full you can't make an informed decision. But I think they made up their mind going in, and that was that's where I take issue with this. So they made their bed with Scott Tolzien, Zach, and they went out there and got 2 pick sixes out of it. You say you weren't surprised, but let's be honest. I mean, was it even worse, though, than you thought he'd be?
No, it was what we've seen. and I went back and watched the tape, and he's not making NFL throws.
No.
And what are the throws that he makes, right? I mean, he's not the worst quarterback that's ever played football. He did move the ball down the field, and they got to the 1-yard line. And yes, I realized Chuck Pagano should have challenged that, and he's come out and said that's on me. But Scott Tolzien moved the ball down the field. Give him credit for that. The throws he made to do that were over the middle to Jack Doyle. Very simple throws. Same ones he made last year against the Pittsburgh Steelers when he played pretty well.
Short to intermediate is where he's at. He doesn't stretch the field at all.
When he goes to the sideline, which is where T.Y. Hilton makes his money, and where Dante Moncrief is really solid as well, the balls they're underthrown. They're not NFL throws. It's not an NFL arm, and the cornerbacks just feasted on him.
I've used this as an example the last couple of days because I just think it's so accurate. That throw to Kamar Aiken on 3rd down, it's a deep cross across the field, maybe a post. I can't remember exactly. But Kamar Aiken is got a step on his guy. Not a lot, but he has a step on his guy. I don't remember if it was Johnson or someone else, but the corner. But he's got enough of a step where you got to give him a chance. And so what happens? Well, Scott Tolzien throws the ball a little too short, and he's got to slow down, and the cornerback closes in and gets the pass deflection. And, I mean, that would have been a huge play. The score was still within a reasonable margin at that point, maybe 10-6, 10-7, something like that, or I can't remember exactly, but maybe 10-3. But the point is, they had an opportunity there, and that's football, right? That's where you make your money. 3rd and long. Can you make a play?
Can you win the matchup and make a play?
Right. Well, they won the matchup, but the quarterback didn't do his job.
And that goes into this whole thing. Scott Tolzien can know the playbook backwards and forwards, and we probably think he does. He's been here a year and a half. He's been the QB1 throughout training camp. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you can't make the throw.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm not breaking news here, but I think you got to go with Jacoby Brissett on Sunday. I know he doesn't know the whole playbook. We just talked to him today. He said all the right things. It's coach's decision. He wants to play, but he understands, and he's only been here, 10 days or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But he can make plays that win games, or at least give you a chance to win a game.
You know, the other thing I'd say about Jacoby Brissett, I went back and I watched a lot of him yesterday, and I wrote a story you may have read. If you didn't, check it out. Basically, what I learned from watching him in New England is that, you know, this guy, he can do well. I don't want to. He's not Andrew Luck, all right? That's not breaking news, but his skill set is more in line with what Rob Chudzinski wants to do.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And it's more in line with it's more similar to Andrew Luck in that he's an athletic guy. But he can work from the pocket, and he's got the strong arm. He can stretch the field. So now T.Y. Hilton doesn't have to twiddle his thumbs all day, right? So he can give them things that make them look more like the Colts were used to seeing. It won't be as he's not Andrew Luck. He's not that accurate. He's not going to be as savvy. I mean, look, it's not going to be perfect.
But as a coach, you have to give your team a chance, the best chance to win. And Chuck Pagano did not do that on Sunday. And it wasn't just Scott Tolzien. It was other things. But Brissett gives you a chance to make some dynamic plays that can give you guys some confidence and give your team a chance to win. And, you know, T.Y. Hilton, it'd be nice to see him involved. It'd be nice to see Dante Moncrief involved. You know, he had that huge bomb that Brissett launched on his first pass.
Gave him a chance, and he made a play.
Right. And there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be interceptions on Sunday. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Do you get the sense – well, let me say this first. So Chuck Pagano in today's press conference was noncommittal about who his quarterback was going to be. But he kind of kept the intrigue going. I wasn't surprised by that. I thought he would sort of play it close to the vest, and I get that. He's not the only coach that does that. It's annoying. Yeah. It's annoying. We hate it, but it's, you know, NFL coaches are annoying. Okay? Be that as it may. Do you think Jacoby Brissett starts this game?
I think he plays in this game.
I
don't know.
I think he starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'll tell you why, but you go ahead.
Okay, I'll say this. It's not whether I think he should start. It's whether I think Chuck Pagano will start him. And it wouldn't stun me if they still trot out Scott Tolzien. But you say what?
So, now, again, we do too much reading between the lines. I readily admit that, right? We overanalyze and all that good stuff. But go back, and if you look at Chuck Pagano's quotes on Monday, he didn't just say, when he was asked about the quarterback situation and whether he'd make a change, he didn't just say, well, you know, we'll look at everything, which he did say that. But in addition, he went a step further. And when I asked him, I said, well, how are you won't tell us what your decision is, but how are you going to decide this? What will decide it? And he said, well, we've got to decide which guy can move the ball and put points on the board.
Yeah.
And it was very specific, and I know that doesn't reveal anything on the surface, but he was very specific because those are the exact things that Scott Tolzien did not do.
Right.
And, literally, he couldn't move the football. It was almost as if he was saying, again, I'm overanalyzing, really readily admit that, but what I heard was Scott Tolzien can't move the ball. Scott Tolzien can't put points on the board. And so
Scotty didn't play bad. That's what he was saying 3 weeks ago.
But did he believe it? Now, here's the thing. You can't go in that team meeting and say, guys, just bear with me. I'm going with Scotty.
No.
You can't do it, man.
I was just going to say that.
They're
going to
laugh you off the stage.
You got to look at T.Y. Hilton. You got to look at Dante Moncrief and Jack Doyle. You got to look at Frank Gore and say, we got to give these guys a chance. We have to look them in the eyes and say we're doing everything we can to try and win this game. And they need to stop being stubborn and stop playing the guy that does not give them the best chance to win.
So I had a player the other day ask me, hey, why do you think we didn't keep Stephen Morris? And I was like, I have no idea. But my point is, do you think these guys are idiots? Do you think they don't ask questions? You think they don't talk among themselves?
A lot of them are very, very smart football minds. Surprisingly so.
NFL players know a lot about football.
They know more than you even think they do.
Yeah.
And they see what we see, and they watch the tape, and they're befuddled by the same decisions that confuse us.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, I don't have any inside information. I just think that this is one of those where the decision, there's no choice here. I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to do it for the sanity of your fan base, to give your team an opportunity, as you said. I mean, can you imagine the scene in Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday?
Yeah.
If Scott Tolzien comes out and does what he did last week,
Oh, they'll boo him off the field, and they'll boo Chuck right out of the stadium. And
people will throw stuff.
And it's sometimes in sports you see guys that will just spark a team, and it's hard to explain sometimes.
Right.
And I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is this once in a lifetime talent, but right now he's what this team needs because it doesn't have any other options.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
So we'll see. Interesting Sunday coming up because Bruce Arians is coming back.
Yeah.
And the Colts don't have – it's like any other saying. If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
That's where we're at.
Well, let's talk about Bruce a little bit. So we love Bruce Arians, right? I mean, while we get wood chopping quotes, Bruce Arians is dropping dimes on our colleagues out there in Arizona.
Right.
Winefest, you suck. Inside joke. Anyhow, there's always going to be conversation when he comes back around.
The one that got away.
Yeah, and it's not fair. It's not fair to
It's
not fair to Bruce. It's not fair to Chuck. It's not fair to Jim Irsay. It's like it's a stupid notion.
Right.
Which is not taking away anything from the fact that Bruce Arians is a damn good football coach.
Right.
And that has been thoroughly proven. But it was before my time here. But I think common sense tells you they really didn't have that was not really an option, right?
It's not logical in any way, shape, or form. You do not fire a coach who had 4 games under his belt and miss half the season with cancer. You just don't do it. And to Chuck's credit, he built that team. He coached that team throughout training camp and OTAs. That was his team. Bruce Arians made that very clear. But I think what exacerbates it, and I'm anxious for your opinions on this, you weren't covering the team that year. I was not covering the team on a daily basis that year, but I was at all the games. What has taken it to a different level is not just Bruce's success in Arizona, it's his no BS attitude. It's his and how that's such a stark contrast to Chuck Pagano. It's not just the media. Forget the media, that doesn't matter. It's the relationship with the players, and it's just he calls it like he sees it, and that is so refreshing compared to this chopping wood cliche driven world that we live in over here at West 56th Street. Fans crave that. They crave that kind of accountability, and I talked to a couple of players about it today. And yes, they love Chuck Pagano, and that is not going to change. I'm not going to spin that narrative. But look, Darius Butler, Anthony Costanzo, T.Y. Hilton, they loved playing for Bruce Arians. He called it like it was. He kept it real. He called them out when they needed to it. And that was the perfect thing for that team in 2012. The perfect thing, because that team overachieved like crazy.
Yeah.
And in a lot of people's minds in this city right now, that's what this team needs, is that kind of guy.
Yeah, I feel you're 100% right. And what I'd say is, look, there are different ways to skin a cat, right? There's no right or wrong way to go about this. For 3 years, Chuck Pagano looked like a genius. This guy. No, I'm not arguing.
Don't forget what Chuck did in 2013 and 14.
Right. So what I'd say though is, the problem with Chuck's style is what I worry about is, does it have a shelf life? And is that what we're seeing now? You know what I mean? Is he still reaching these guys?
We're going to see that in November and December this year.
Right. And I think the last couple of years that has been in question, right? Not so much has he lost his touch or anything, none of that per se, but every coach's message wears thin at some point. So there has to be some substance in it. And Chuck, it's substantive in that, look, he has a genuine feeling for his players and all that. And to say he doesn't hold them accountable, obviously, we're not going to suggest that. He does. He just doesn't do it. He definitely doesn't do it publicly. And he's very defensive about that. You've been in here when we've had those conversations with Chuck, hey, so, what's up with, you don't ever, you're going to sit here and defend this guy? And he's like, look, I deal with these guys. He says, I do it behind closed doors. But I think you're right. Bruce puts it all out there. Whatever he tells the player, he tells us.
Right.
He pulls no punches.
And the fans like to hear that. They like to hear it when a coach criticizes the player for not playing well, because that's how they feel.
It confirms what they're seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do think, though, that Bruce Arians' style probably has a longer shelf life because it's not I don't want to say phony. It's as real as you can be, right? It's the opposite of phony.
Yeah.
It's as real as you can be. So there's no, it's not going to get old, or it's not a novelty. It's not going to get old or nothing. It's
not a fabrication.
No, it's you're going to get his New York shtick, and he's going to be like, you suck.
Yeah, and that's why he didn't get a head coaching job for so
too
long.
real.
And
He
he
was
writes
too
about
honest.
this in his book, and he says he was just blatantly honest when he went to these interviews with for these head coaching positions with teams and didn't. I mean, his credentials, they measure up in terms of a head coaching position, and team after team said no, and there were teams that were firing him from offensive coordinator positions, etc. So it took that 2012 season, that magical 2012 season, for him to get that head coaching opportunity in Arizona, a place that hadn't really won consistently at all, besides that run to the Super Bowl in 2008. But I think he's going to get a huge ovation on Sunday if they do announce the head coach of the opposing team. And I think a lot of people look back at that 2012 season, and he's the guy that comes to mind more than Chuck for the magic that happened, because that team was a 6-win team and they won 11 games.
Amazing. Can you imagine? You just made reference to this. Can you imagine Bruce Arians in a job interview with an owner and and the front office staff? He'd be like, "So, Bruce, what do you think of our players?" And like, "Whoa, let me tell you about '87. That guy, he's a bum. Okay, that guy sucks."
Sometimes you need that.
I know. He probably scared the hell out of him.
Right.
Like, oh my God, we can't hire this guy.
Right.
So I could see how that would ruffle
We've
feathers.
never heard that. We've never heard that with this team.
I could see how that would ruffle feathers, and people would be taken aback and be like, I don't know. I don't know if our fans are ready for this guy. When in reality, as you said, they eat it up.
Right.
So anyway, it's an interesting little aside for this week.
And I'm writing about this today and how that changed sort of his career and saved his career. But a very unique situation that played out in 2012, and it's kind of staring fans in the face this weekend. You got Chuck on one sideline and Bruce on the other, and they're good friends.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the last point I wanted to make on that is you talked about their different personalities. It makes it all the more weird that they are really good friends, because they really don't have – their personalities don't have much in common. You know what I mean? It's just weird that way.
No.
But anyway, interesting little subplot to this game. This is also a subplot, not a new one, though, the offensive line again. So this latest curveball, today we learned this, in fact, that Denzel Good is going on injured reserve. He's got a wrist ligament, I guess, that tore and needed surgery. So this just popped up. We didn't even know about him being hurt, and maybe they didn't think it was this severe. But anyhow, I guess the MRI must have shown that, and he's going to go on injured reserve. Whether they can bring him back, I don't know. We'll have to see. You can bring back a maximum of 2 players off injured reserve now after 8 weeks. So, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, they're down another lineman. They're scrambling again. I don't even know what the lineup's going to be. It doesn't even matter.
Is it LaRaven Clark or is it Joe Haig?
It could be. I'll tell you what I'd do. If you think that LaRaven Clark is just a lost case for the time being,
which the preseason would indicate.
Yeah, then your best shot might be move Vujnovic back to right tackle and have Joe Haig play left guard, which is a fine option.
They'd probably do that.
The problem, though, is apparently Vujnovic has an ankle injury, so he may not practice today, or at least is limited for today and tomorrow, according to Pagano. So if we get to Thursday and he's still gimpy, I don't know. You may have to make plans to go with LaRaven Clark.
I don't know if you can win a game with LaRaven Clark. And I'm not trying to pick on LaRaven, but that edge spot with this defense just spells disaster. He was awful in the preseason.
Yeah, so I asked our unofficial Indy Star analyst, his name is Frank Gore, what he thought of the Cardinals defense. And the reason I asked Frank these questions is because obviously, who knows more football in that locker room than Frank Gore, right? And he gives you unvarnished answers too. And he looked at me and he's like, "Ooh, they're the real deal." Like, he says they're still very good. So they think that front, he says, they're not going to let you run the football. He says they are not going to let us run it. So that tells us 2 things.
Good thing, because the Colts have a great option at quarterback. So we're good.
You see where I'm going here?
I feel great about Sunday.
I was like, so wait a minute. That was your takeaway from the film? It's like, so you're feeling great. So anyhow, in all seriousness, though, what a challenge for this offensive line. The timing here is not great. They're going to get a stiff test, and the quarterback's going to have to make some plays, which, is a whole other conversation. But, yeah, this offensive line, I don't know if they can really right the ship with a new quarterback and all that's going on here with more hits to their offensive line, it just keeps on coming. I don't know where they go, and I don't know that it matters what lineup they use. They're not going to be. It's not going to be ideal right now. And the unfortunate thing is, Denzel Good actually played okay.
I thought he played great, and
Yeah.
I think that was a solid move. This is a bigger deal than it initially sounds like, because they finally had maybe someone to stick at right tackle. I mean, I
Right.
thought he played solid in L.A.
He was talking about, like, maybe I can make this my job long term.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a preposterous suggestion. It was it wasn't something that was out of left field. Maybe he could. The other thing is, he actually took on Robert Quinn in that game, and I wanted to watch this the other day on Monday. Robert Quinn, very accomplished pass rusher in this league. Clearly, they didn't have Aaron Donald, but they still had a pretty good front. And I'm telling you, he stymied Robert Quinn just about every time. Robert Quinn switched sides, went over to the left side of the offense's left a couple times, and what happened? Sack on Anthony Costanzo.
I was going to say, he got home.
Yeah.
He got home at least once.
Yeah. And, Costanzo, you could argue, did he fall down? Did he not? But the bottom line is, he didn't have leverage on the guy, and he ends up on the ground, and it's a sack. So that's just, the never-ending story of our lives. Quarterback injuries and offensive line.
Since we have to continue the tradition, it wouldn't be the Chopping Wood podcast if there weren't Wood Choppers of the Week. So, Stephen Holder, the question to you is, who is the Wood Chopper of the Week following a 46-9 loss in Los Angeles?
Okay, so I was going to do this in a conventional manner, but this game defies convention.
Hey, the bus driver got him there on time. The equipment guys had the jerseys ready.
I was gonna say, you know what, Al Woods. What a guy, tough guy, right? He goes down, twists his knee. He got run up on from behind, and it looked bad. He's down on the ground, pounding the turf. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna bring out the stretcher for this guy. And so he limps off, and he's back in the game like 4 plays later.
And he's on the practice field today, and I talked to him, and he sounds. He's gonna fight through this. So
yeah, he's a man's man. But that's the conventional pick.
That's wood chopping, though.
But that is wood chopping. That's the conventional pick, though. There's a couple other ways we can go with this now, okay? And I came up with one, and you tell me your thoughts on it. Now, there were a lot of Scott Tolzien threw 2 touchdowns on Sunday. I don't know if you're aware of that.
He hit those cornerbacks in stride.
So Tremaine Johnson, I'm telling you, who is pretty fast, obviously on his way to the end zone twice. He, I gotta say, on the first one, if you go back and watch the replay, you'll see a little blur at the bottom of your screen, in the corner of your screen, and that, my friends, is Deshaun Bond, okay, trying to make the tackle, and he's giving it everything he's got with his 310 pounds.
Undrafted rookie, he's doing everything he can to hustle through the whistle because.
Hey man, you know what? Hooray for him, man. You know what? If you give that kind of effort then in a game like that, I got to give you credit, man. So hey, keep chopping wood, Deshaun Bond. Hopefully you can put that effort into some points for the other guys.
First game of his career, and he gets the esteemed wood chopping of the week award.
I mean, what else is there?
I don't even think the great Jack Doyle can claim that.
No. Even though it's named for him.
Yeah, more or less.
But no, he really didn't. Jack Doyle may not have even played in his first Colts game. Okay, I mean, what more is there for Deshaun Bond after this?
Yeah, it's all downhill.
It really is. It really might be, actually.
On that note, I did chat with Ryan Kelly in the locker room today. He's not wearing a boot, which is a development from last week. So I said, are you coming back next weekend? And he kind of shrugged me off. I don't think next weekend, but I think maybe Seattle, maybe the week after that against San Francisco. You could definitely see number 78 back in the lineup.
Yeah, that would be a boost.
Which is a huge boost because this team needs help any way it can get it.
It would be. So anyhow, that's your bright and sunny Colts podcast, folks. Don't you feel great?
We could get on here and lie to you for a half an hour.
Yeah.
But that would be a disservice to you, the loyal listener, and there's no other way to cut it. This team is 0-1. I think they go 0-2 on Sunday. I don't see them winning. I think they play better against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Being at home is a huge factor.
I think this is a competitive game.
I don't think
I
they
think
win.
they lose.
I don't think they win.
I picked them to lose this game, even just because I thought it was one of those games where,
it's not a good matchup for them.
No, you've got a quarterback who can still make some plays on the other side. You got a defense here that clearly is prone to giving up some plays on the back end. The front seven, I thought was adequate. I think that's workable. They don't have a pass rush,
and it's great that they don't have David Johnson to worry about. I mean, he just changes the game. Yeah,
right. But I still think I give the Cardinals an edge offensively right now, and certainly defensively. So I got to go with the Cardinals. And the other thing, by the way, I meant to touch on this as one of our topics, but real quick, they got to be able to rely on Adam Vinatieri, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Extra point miss and a field goal miss on Sunday. And he had a field goal miss, I think, in week 4 of the preseason as well. Not calling it a trend, just saying keep an eye on that.
It's alarming to some degree. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't miss anything under 30 yards typically, like ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And 2 short misses in the preseason and then 2 on Sunday. 1 extra point, 1 from 38.
Yeah, not feeling great about it.
Right.
So all I'm saying is, the Colts need all the help they can get. So, but all that being said, I think this is a closer game. I think it's a competitive game, but I'm giving the edge to the Cardinals, so I go with the Cardinals. So I think we're in agreement there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for listening. We're gonna get back to work, and we're gonna get back to chopping some wood and trying to keep our sanity while we're doing it, because man, it's already been a long year for us. So I think we're in for it, folks. Thanks for listening. I'm Stephen Holder with Zach Keefer. We'll be back next week.